Well, hello folks, this is Fat Guy Flies RC coming to you from the Man Cave Studios. And one of my Christmas presents that my family got me was this Flex Innovation Rv8 60G2. 60 10E G2. And basically it's the smaller version of my big blue Knight that I've got. So let's unbox it and go through the parts. Now, I've already opened it up Christmas morning, but I haven't taken anything out, or Christmas when we celebrate it. Rarely do we ever get to celebrate Christmas actually on Christmas Day. I think we actually had Christmas on the 18th of December, if I remember right. All right. Now this is the newest generation of the Rv8 system that they have. This also has features actually 6 different modes, 2 profiles, and 6 different modes. The stock profile includes a live wing, which is their most advanced in the stock profile, and then an intermediate mode, and then a beginner mode that actually has self-leveling. And then the other profile has the traditional Rv8 profiles with sport mode, advanced 3D, and then slow flight 3D. So, all right, I'm probably saying that wrong, but all right. Tell you what, let's do. Let's go change our camera views, and we can look down and see inside the box. All right, as you can see, everything is packaged very nice and neatly. Right off the bat, you've got your little wheel pants there. Okay. Here is the stock landing gear. However, I will not be using the stock gear. I instead since I knew I was getting this, my wife, she accidentally left it on the front porch and I saw it. I went ahead and ordered the carbon fiber landing gear that goes with it. Nice little spinner there. Okay. Here's your cowl. All right. Here's the prop, which is a electric nylon vortex prop. And it looks like it is a, probably says right, Exor brand 12 by 6E electric prop. Okay. Here is one of the wings. And this is their new molding process where the foam is much more dense and much tighter. And they actually have nice high quality decals on here instead of paint. Their paint just came right off on their previous editions of planes. This is their new generation. Got plastic protection all over the place. Nice big, their DS17W hinge or servos that are already hooked up. This is the Knight version, so it has the lights inside of it. The other wing, and if you notice, nice big mechanical hinges along with the pinch hinge, foam pinch hinge. Very, very nice. It's got LEDs, but also it's got nav LEDs and then LEDs throughout the entire wing. All right. Keep up with my debris. Okay. Nice vertical stabilizer. Now it's got a pinch hinge with mechanical hinges, but still, since it's a pinch hinge, you're going to want to work that hinge. Okay. This comes with a dual sky motor. The motor is a 700, it's a flex. You can see the specs on it, 750 watt motor. Trying to get the wheels out of there. Nice sponge. They got some give to them. Okay. Down here at this end, this is your Rv8 programming tool and extension cable to run a SL, I think it's something, SL something receiver, I can't remember. And then programming tool for it to hook up to your computer. All right. Both halves of the vertical stabilizer or horizontal stabilizer, otherwise known as elevator. And you see the hinge is already cracking on the pinch hinge, but that's okay because it's got 3 hard mechanical hinges. Same thing here. Very nice. Very, very nice. Got LEDs inside of it. Okay. Get rid of more debris. All right. Let me make sure you got put my head in the way there. All right, and then you've got your push rod for the elevator and rudders. And then all the hardware you're going to need. Okay. And then, of course, we have the main event. Wing spar and the tail spar. So pay attention that remember your tail spar is inside. Now, I highly recommend you take a little bit of alcohol and get this tape residue off of here. Otherwise, you'll have a hard time sliding your wing spar through the tube. It'll stick on, because this makes a sticky substance. Whatever you got, I use like rubbing alcohol or something to get that off of there. I really wish they wouldn't. I understand why that, but I wish they would use masking tape, just like painter's tape or something to hold it down, because that kind of tape just is going to stick and going to be a booger bear to get off. But nice carbon fiber spars. Quick assembly guide. And that, other than taking the fuse out, should be it. Oh, I like the fact they've painted the bottom of that silver. The deck in there, silver. So that's cool. That's very cool. All right, nothing left in the carbon or the foam coffin. Let's take a look. Now remember, with all these flex planes, they open at the front here. See, I like how that deck is. See how that deck? That's silver. That looks good. And hardwood there. And then down here, and these they now have the new generation of battery tray in there. Got your looks like a quick connect. Oh, this is the connector for your battery. You're going to need to run a 3S battery to run your lights separate. Let me say it one more time. Do not run your lights off the balance lead of your 6S battery, because these lights are designed to run on 3S and they will drain half of that battery. And you'll wonder, why is my battery so messed up? Well, that's why. All right, very, very simple. All right. Okay, let's get all of our parts together, get everything out, and we'll come right back and I'll show you everything out on the deck. All right, I'm going to use the wing spar and my pointer. Got both your wings, you got your bag of screws and all your goodies. You got your vertical stabilizer, both your horizontal stabilizers, your wheel pants, your programming cable, wing spar for the tail, wing spar for the wing, prop. Both have the horizontals. I got both sets of landing gear, but like I said, I'm going to be using the carbon fiber, your wheels, main fuse, and a quick assembly guide. Well, hey folks, this is Fat Guy Flies RC, and this is the post-build follow-up on the Flex Innovation Rv8 10E G2. Now, I've got the big 60, the big one, the big blue and white one, the night version. Then this is the night version of the smaller little brother of it. Now, I got it all together, but look, we need to, before we go into anything about the features, let's go over the post build overview, things that you gotta have to look out for. I could not have videotaped it. It had been 4 or 5 hours long. It took me probably a good 4 hours to put this plane together, only because I took my time and it was very tedious work. Throttle cut is on, but she is live. Okay, just so you know. Yes, I've got the prop on, but okay. First and foremost, I did not use the stock gear that came with it. Now there's good gear, there's nothing wrong with it, but having my experience with gear, I wanted their carbon fiber gear, which is what I installed. Now, let's go over that right off the bat. Putting the carbon fiber gear on did require a little bit of finesse because it's a little bit thicker. The shaft is a little bit thicker at this point here than the stock gear. So the backing plates didn't quite fit all the way in, so I really had to crank down on them screws to get the backing plates for the back of these wheel pants to screw in. So, excuse me, I had to do a little bit of that because this is slightly thicker, but other than that, it fit perfectly. You're going to screw that in. You're going to put, you have to take a screw. There's 2 screws that come in, like these holes here. Undo that. That's already in the box that way. Undo that and take these halves off. Okay. Straw your screw that's already on the shaft or the wheel that's already on its shaft through there. You bolt it down. Slide you put the back plate on first. This section here on first. Then you slide your wheel in. Crank that down. That back of that wheel is going to crank in, or the back of the wheel pan here, I'm sorry, is going to crank into that white plate. That's what holds that in place. Then you install your wheel, and then you put this half, and there's that little knot right there, a little knot, that actually holds the other end of that shaft. But that whole nut right there is really what holds the wheel. That just kind of rests up against that. So you really don't have to worry. That's not really that necessary. It just kind of rests in there. And then just put the 2 screws that you took out to put the wheel pant back on it. When you see it, it all makes sense. Okay. These connections here were already done for you. The only thing is, and this is tedious, is back here, you have to install the screws, your ball links on the tail, on the rudder servo, on the elevator servo, and on the elevator. Okay, my camera froze. Okay, so, and they are drop down screws. You put in the screws. It's got a locking nut on there with a small washer. I do recommend just a small amount of Loctite on those. Not on the balling part, but on that little screw part, just to keep them from backing back out of there. They shouldn't with those locking nuts, but you do what you want. But they do, it's a little tedious because you kind of have to hold the one screw with a pair of pliers, and then you got to take a Phillips head screwdriver to screw it in. So it's a little bit tedious, not your typical foamy build. The vertical stabilizer or rudder, you have to glue that in. That's the only gluing on the plane that you have to do. Okay, and you're going to glue that whole section in first, and the rudder's already attached to that. You glue that in. Okay, and once that's set, whatever epoxy, 30-minute epoxy, I used thick CA with some kicker is what I used. The rubber's already attached. Let that go in. Slide both of halves of your elevator in. They lock in. You've got the one servo that operates them. They got that locking key between the 2. Okay, and then you're going to, the screws that you're going to use to attach, you got one little bag. It's got 3 screws in it. They're very obvious, and they're not labeled. They're individually bagged, and you screw in this elevator, and the same screw you're going to screw in the bottom of this rudder shaft here, and you just get it all the way down tight, and then back it off just a little bit so that your rudder continues to move. You anchor it down too hard, and then it'll bind the rudder, and you don't want to do that. Okay, up front, after that you're going to come back. Of course, you're going to put your prop on last, and this is kind of fiddly. You're going to put your dual sky motor. You got to install it. You got to install it on the back of its plate, and install the plate into the wood frame that's got blind nuts. Put your little dab of Loctite on each of those 4 bolts. It's obvious. I mean, when you see it, you'll understand. And then you got to install your prop adapter on the front of the motor. Once you install the prop adapter on the front of the motor, there's 5 very small screws. I want to say it takes a 1.5 meter hex drive and drives that, puts a prop adapter on, and then you got that on your motor. Then you take your cowl here that's separate. And this is kind of fiddly because you kind of have to hold the fuse up like this. I hold up like this, and I'll let gravity be my friend to hold the screws in, because the 2 screws are by themselves, and they're obvious which one you use. They're not magnetic, and you have to attach so I took a screwdriver and I dropped them in and let gravity guide them in. They're not magnetic. So this it's kind of fiddly. When you go to put your prop on, there's not a backing plate for the prop. This is just a hex drive, 2mm hex drive screw, which my kit didn't have one. I'm sure there was one, I just lost it, but holds that hub. And luckily I have tons of extra screws. Prop did not need to be balanced. The prop also fit on there perfectly. I didn't have to ream it out or put an adapter. Everything worked just perfectly. It slid right on there, nice and tight. And then I had to provide my own screw. I'm sure it's in the kit somewhere, but I couldn't find it. A machine screw that holds that little, holds your spinner on. Now, inside the plane, there is when you install your wings, this plane is small enough where I'm not going to be taking the wings off of it. But you're going to slide your wings in. And if you look right up in there, you see those 2, I'm going to finger that screw there behind that light green fiberglass backing plate. Those 2 screws on the other side. That's your wing bolts that hold the wing in. All right. Slide that in, anchor those down. They're meant to be taken on and off. However, with the night version, the 2 JST leads that have to go underneath the wing spar and then out the front towards the front is very, very short, and you don't have much room. So you really have to kind of hold it with a tool and connect your JST connections, which, you know, negative and positive. You pay attention to that. And there's not much room. So this wing is not going to come off because that part was so fiddly to plug them lights in and out. And so I didn't want to have to mess with that because that was a bit fiddly. They should have had them JST leads at least an inch longer. It'd been a lot nicer. Also, the plane does have thrust reverse, but you'd have to have a traditional receiver in order to plug that in, and I don't use that. Now, there are some issues that people are having. They're asking me questions about getting their Rv8, their Aviator, and this one here, it's the same. They work the same. Getting their little Spectrum satellite to bind with it. I don't know what to tell you. I used a Lemon RX satellite receiver. That's all I'm using. Let's see if I have another one around here. Yeah, one of these little guys here. I've got one of these in there. It's a Spectrum protocol, and cable that comes with it, this is $20 and some change at Motion RC. I had this in my Mamba. I've got this in this one. I got one of these in the Aviator. There's Spectrum protocol that comes with that cord, and all I do is I plug the front of that satellite right there where my finger's wiggling, and then I got the satellite mounted upside down right there. You see it's flashing? That's all I do, and I plug it in, give it power. I've already got myself a model profile set in the transmitter. Bind it up. This flashes. I hold the bind button down on this, bind it up, and everything works. I don't know why other people are having a problem. They're using a Spectrum brand of the same thing, but it's going to plug on the other side. There's a wider, like a 4-pin plug that plugs on this side, but it should work. It goes right there. It should work the same way with my big Rv8. that's what I got in that one, and that's exactly how that worked. And it plugged right in, started flashing, I bound it up. I can't explain why other people are having a hard time. It worked perfectly fine for the first time on that one, and worked perfect first time on this one, and on the Aviator, which is around here somewhere. Worked perfectly fine. It bound right up, and I had instant communication. So the only thing, I mean, my transmitter is already on. I plug everything in. I've already got a profile set up, a basic profile in the transmitter. And then I put the transmitter in the bind mode, plug that in, that starts to flash. I hold the bind button down and it connects. I can't explain. I got several people that emailed me saying, hey, I'm having a hard time getting my Spectrum receiver to bind with it. I don't know what to tell you. Mine works perfectly. It worked the first time. So, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't have an explanation for you of why it's not working. The only thing I can think of is that you don't have the cables in the right spot. I mean, but if all else fails, spend the $20, get the satellite, save your Spectrum for something else, and plug it in the 2 satellite ports, and that works perfectly. I've never had a problem with those. So, okay. Enough about that. Let's talk about some of the features of this plane. Now, this has 2 stock profiles that it comes with. So, in essence, and each profile has 3 different modes. So, you basically have 6 different modes you can fly this plane in. Now, right now, actually, I believe I have it in, it's not in safe mode. Okay, I must be in, yeah, I'm in the
Sport Profile 1. Level Assist.
Okay.
Profile 1.
Okay.
Or Sport Mode.
I'm in what called Profile 1, which is the Profile 1, which is the stock profile, which in the Flight Mode 1 is self-leveling. So you can see, if I hold the plane, watch how that elevator just holds its position, okay? Watch. That's your beginner mode, okay? When you go to fly for the first time, you're going to want to take off for the first time in this mode, in this profile. And then there's a procedure you can follow because you have 2 different profiles. There's a procedure you're going to follow for your 6-axis trim. You're going to fly the plane in this mode, get her up to 3/4 throttle, and get her all trimmed out, okay? And then you're going to land the plane, and you're going to put it into trimming memory mode, basically is what it is. And then you'll be able to save that trim. And then you're going to take because you trimmed it, so therefore you moved your elevator and you moved your rudder and stuff, and you trimmed it out. Then you're going to come back to your transmitter and you're going to zero that out. I'll go over this at the maiden. You're going to zero all that out and then restart it, and then it will remember that trim. And then you're going to fly in the other mode, which is their Profile 2, which is their more advanced mode, and you're going to repeat the same process in that profile's Flight Mode 1 and get it all trimmed up, follow the process, and then it will remember that trim. You will have to have a bind plug, okay, in order to do that procedure. Now, the other thing that I did, and if you watch my video on the Big Blue Knight, the RV8, I had a video on how to program Crow into this. It's actually not that hard to do. So I'll put a link to that video in, but I'll show you how to do it. But I do have Crow now.
Crow is live.
And Crow works.
The Crow is disabled.
And Crow works in all the profiles, both
disabled.
profiles and all flight modes. All right, but I'll go over this in more depth at the field once we do the maiden. But also, this also has
Advanced Profile 1 or Slow Speed 3D.
Has launch assist, and all you're going to do with launch assist, and I can just go ahead and show you here, even though I'm not going to fly anywhere. As I dropped the plane. All you're going to do is launch assist. Okay, it's not hard to do. There's only one procedure that you do. Okay, You're going to make sure your throttle is all the way at the bottom, and then you're going to go up elevator, inside rudder. All right, see how that just changed? All right, you're going to let go of your elevator, and now all your elevator and your rudder, or your elevator and your ailerons, and all you're going to do now is steer your plane and advance throttle. And you just advance throttle, steer the plane with the rudder, and she's going to lift straight up. And the moment that you hit your elevator or your ailerons, it goes out of that launch assist mode. Okay, so just get the plane ready to go. But like I say, we will demonstrate this at the field. At the field, I'm going to demonstrate launch assist. I'm going to demonstrate how to put the plane into the memory of your trim, and I'm going to show you how to change from stock profile 1 to profile 2, which is your more advanced mode. Okay, and we'll do that. Now, and all these procedures that I'll show you work the same with the aviator. I'll also be flying the aviator, but I won't be showing that stuff. I'll just be flying the aviator. And I'm going to take my big G2, the big brother to this, out also. Now, it only has the regular Flex Innovation profile, which is their 3 modes, which is their sport mode, which is kind of like normal flying. You can go upside down and stuff, and it's got the normal trim. And then they're more slow, high-speed 3D, or you can do a lot of maneuvers, but more fast. And then they got the low-speed 3D, and which was lower speed for hovering and Harriers and all that kind of stuff that I can't do yet. But and this plane does all that also, but it's just a smaller version. This is also the night version, okay, and the big one's the night version. But we're going to have all this at the field tomorrow. You know, Lord willing, the creek don't rise. Now, let's, CG on the plane. I have it written on the bottom of the wing. 199 to 195 from the trailing edge, not from the front, but from the trailing edge. If you're going to fly in the more advanced 3D, you're going to want your CG back here at 195. For your regular sport flying, traditional flying, you're going to want your CG at 199. So it's really not that much of a difference. Just, you know, make sure you be aware of that. You're going to maybe put your battery back just 1/4 of an inch further back whenever you want to be more aerobatic. Okay? And I dropped a big glob of hot glue and burnt the bottom of my wing there. You know, I was trying to put a small drop with my hot glue, and a big, huge drop came out. I'm like, holy crap. But anyways, that's where she CG's at. Let's show you the lights and the battery placement. Okay. Now, I've got a 2200 China Hobby 6S that's plugged in, sitting next to a little 1500 little, I don't know, it's a little 3S battery, but I'm only using the lead for that, okay, for the batteries, for the lights. Now remember, do not be tempted to plug your lights in, which I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, you see this right here? This, even though it's a 6S, it is built for your 3S. You're going to plug your lights in. The black leads are going to go on the far side. They just plug right in. Okay? And that's how that looks when it's plugged in. Let me get you a little closer. That's how that looks when that's plugged in like that. Even though it doesn't, it's meant, this plug here is meant for 6S, it only is rated for 3S. Because if you decide that you want to plug it in, you can do it. You can plug your lights into the balance lead of your 6S main drive battery, but understand it's only going to feed the lights off 3 cells of your 6S flight battery. And you're going to wonder why that 6S battery you put in there, why it's drain, and it will drain it quick. Why you got 3 cells that way down and the other 3 cells are such a difference between the two. That's why. Okay, so don't do it. Let me pause, and we're going to turn all these lights off, and you can just see how bright this thing is. All right, I didn't turn out all the lights, but because I got to be able to see to get around. But needless to say, when you put this sucker in the sky, She lights up very, very pretty. Now, another thing I forgot to do, speaking of lights, before you attach, because you got these LED strips that go in your rudder and both, there's the little bitty 2-prong pH, I don't know what they're called, pH something, connector, little white connector. They only fit one way. Plug all 3 of them in first before you attach especially your rudder, because you're going to glue that in. Plug all 3 of them in first to the provided wires and plug in that 3S battery. Everything else should light right up, and as long as they light up, you're fine. If they don't, got to make sure you got that connection right and find out what's going on before, especially before you glue that rudder in. Okay. Now the little LED strip that's in mine, it was just sitting there loose. It's in a tiny little foam channel it goes in. It fell right out. Well, I just fished it right back in. There's like a sticky tape on the back side of the LEDs. Well, how can they fit their finger in there to secure that? So it's just laying in there. And there's nowhere for it to go. Okay, so once you hook it up and everything, don't worry about it. It's not gonna, if yours is loose, that's fine. Mine is loose too. Okay, so just so you're aware of that. The pilot figure comes out very easily. If you want to paint him, it's just a little guy there, and just slide right in. Alrighty, well, there you go. That's pretty much it. Like I said, the only thing I modded is I put the fiberglass or the carbon fiber gear on it. So we're going to get out the field here and get you made very soon. This is Fat Guy Flies RC After Dark. Oh, and just so you know, today is January 1st, 2026. It's about 1:30 in the morning, so it's only been 26 for about half an hour, or an hour now, or an hour and a half now. I can't think. But Happy New Year! This is the first new plane of January 2026, and we're going to get it out today on New Year's Day, and hopefully get a maiden in, as long as Lord willing the creek don't rise. All right, God bless y'all. We'll catch you next time. See you at the field. Bye bye.